Bygones be bygones, the truth of it. As I was sitting here watching the news, I was realizing how many people I know who are troubled by many things happening upon the screen as of late. What I'm doing now is taking on the energy of who I am from various levels of love, opening up my heart to many, correct? It's the love of all that many are assuming we have as souls vision questing with other souls. What I do in my heart is to assume the best for most. Some souls do, in fact, need to be told to leave us alone. Some souls need to be told on this plane, you are not creating havoc with me as of yet. Okay, I've had my own soul on board for a long time, and that means that I don't really worry so much about who I am now. Now, when I tell you that, sometimes I do. It's occasionally I have a bump in the road or a bump in with a soul vision from a soul. It's like the soul longing to be freed from the conditioning of my mind. You see, many souls assume that when we cross over, we take off the conditioning of this plane. And that is true. What happens when we go through the process of deconditioning ourselves is what many will say. Others start to take advantage of that process on this plane or in the views of it from another. This is why we allow ourselves to guide us to our own soul's love of ourselves first and foremost. This is why many souls will claim religious redemption when they cross over and assume that they then can continue to produce beautiful results of redemption for themselves. This is what happens when you go through this process and you're working with different tribal visions. We allow ourselves the beauty of who we are. We allow ourselves the beauty of mistakes long ago or long gone by. Okay? We know as souls what we've done in our hearts from our point of vantage. Okay, our vantage point. What we're no longer willing to do is to honor those, quote, loving, adoring souls, right? That try to heal us from our own projections of whatever it is that's coming to us. We are soul visions creating with many. And when men and women are on the rebound, right? I have so many souls who are clamoring for my attention on the soul level that I have to beat them down with a stick, right? No. It's more like I allow for the beauty of who I am to flourish in every footstep that I walk. And I know that sometimes when I'm given my hat back from a soul who thought I was going to continue to portray them as a loving, caring, adoring soul, this is what can happen when people are in the vibration of, I'm still a victim of a situation from my past. This is where Brenda was with her soul. And she heard the vision of it. And it wasn't a pleasant experience because in essence, it feels like it's happening all over again, is where many go. Even though the narrative is the same. Most people are playing back the words or the visions of something that happened in order for something to happen. Now, when she as soul was receiving the guidance telling her where that soul still resides in his heart. It is a destroyed vision from her. She caretakes her soul enough to know, I have to honor the vision of saying, you broke the bounds of space-time to come through and think you're going to try and make amends with me with that kind of vision. It was an insult to my intelligence and nature of who I am now versus the innocent, quote, victim of long ago as a child. Even as a teen, we are not prepared for the in-depth vision questing that most are trying to go through with the vision of love of all. You see, this is what happens, and this is why we allow ourselves the time and the grace to get our visions in, like, it's correction mode. This is not about me, but it's about the nature of what a bygone is. It's the hardest thing for most of us to do, is to let those visions of victim just lie at our feet. Let them go. Just assume those souls have some other agenda, some other vision that they themselves haven't cleared out of their own system as of yet. It can take time for certain souls to finally understand they're no longer loved and adored for who they were, versus the idea of you are a victim of your own soul's conditioning when you were on this plane. So this is why those souls on the other side of the veil will often try to come through in that vision of redemption because they were conditioned in it. They feel like, oh, I need to make amends with everybody, or I need to make sure that everybody is cared for in my vision. These are where other souls come in and say they don't need to be having their hands held. They're already crossed over. They've already reunited with many of their souls. They have an understanding that most of us don't have here, which is we get to change the bounty upon our heads. You see, I was being told that due to the nature of the conditioning on this plane, right, there are people who are placing bounty on people's heads here for the vision of, oh, you didn't support my candidate or the person that I love the most, right? This is the nature of true deconditioning from the nature of victimhood that many are portraying themselves at. But if you vibrate in the beauty of who I am, you're often already past that idea of I need to, quote, lob insults at someone else's vision for what they're doing to enlighten us to who we are, which is a destroyed vision. So this is what happened to me. I had a vision of love so strong for so many souls. And I knew that in my heart, I vibrate with the love. I would not let anyone die in my vision, is what one of the visions that I would use. You know, if someone came across me, would they let me just suffer? Some people do that. I go in and I try to help. What I don't do is I don't allow for people who are winding themselves up in the fretful moments. I know when that happens for me. Okay, so this isn't about saying that we forget what happened. We don't have access to the neutrality of what a soul vision is when those soul visions come through. Usually when you are on the vision of there's a neutrality vision, it sounds very neutral when you get your soul handed to you from this woman. It will be very much a kind, gentle, loving vision of what's being created. And in that vision of love, then you flourish because you can understand, I may not like it in my mind, but my heart is telling me it's true. I wasn't aware of what I was doing. I wasn't aware of my heart in the moment. I wasn't aware of where I was in my mind for many of those tragic moments. That's what a lot of people are working with. When you have to go to that idea of I need to set someone free, it can be a different experience for a lot of us. Some of us are very comfortable just letting people go. Others do it in a way that is very much of a, I'm letting you know right now you don't belong in my heart. That's where a lot of people are. And in essence, it's only on this plane that we feel it as such. On the creative endeavors that we do with others, we allow for their souls to have their quote say in the vision. And then we can say, I think you're mistaken about who you think I am. I'm not here to entertain you as much as I am to honor you. I can honor your vision of victim, and I can honor your vision of projection of who you think I am. That's what a lot of people are working with. We're working on the visions of I am a victim of someone else's lack of self-control, or the self-control that others are claiming they have. I used to feel I was very patient and aware and loving for everybody. Bring back a soul who hurt me in the most intimate ways, and that's when things get down and dirty in my mind, and I have to vibrate out of it in essence and go, that's just their projection that they want to place to see if I can actually handle the vibration of a loving relationship that doesn't include any kind of intimate moments. Now, intimacy is where we often go with a lot of those ideas, okay? Often we are hurt by those who are in our sphere of influence, right? And those intimate moments that we have with those, and that's that nature of betrayal and whatnot that are the hard hitters for many of us. And when we've set those souls free and clear and saying, I understand you love who you are, and I do too. So what does that mean for me? I don't have to caretake their hearts in the same way that I did as a child, perhaps. This could be any kind of dynamic, right? Where our families are often the strongest uniters for us, but many are utilizing that vision saying, it's showing me aspects of who I want to be, which very well may be different from how I was raised. That's where I can sometimes go, but I cherish my family for the love and adoration that they granted me in the moments that they did. I hid a lot of who I was from the general public. And I still have that vision of what that means. It's a privacy vision. I've been very vocal about letting go of a lot of the pain. But when it does come to visit on a soul level, that's when it can be a little bit rough. And I want to acknowledge those who understand that vision and understand the nature of it. It's not all roses on soul level guidance either. Sometimes we have our hearts handed to us by those that we wish accepted and loved us for who we were or who we are. You see, I've changed so many aspects of who I am that some people in my life are no longer aware of the true values that I hold for myself. I'm aware of the beauty of who I am in many ways. Do I care if people acknowledge that in the way that they think? Okay, this is not about the physical portrayal of who I am, but the nature of the guidance and the messages that I'm bringing forth and about to receive myself. You see, your souls give and receive as much as mine, and that's the honoring of each of us. So when we decide to create with those around us, it's a beautiful expression. When we create with those in our, quote, heavenly realm, that's a beautiful expression of release for many. They've got their vision and they now can fly free from who we were to them. Some of them do indeed leave our vision, our vibration, and go off to choose other creative paths. It's when we hold on to them that then there's still that creative connection. And that's how you know whether or not there still is some detachment issues that need to be worked out sometimes. Okay, and this is for anyone that is going through that process of I can't let that go. And if I did, it would be the end of my career. That's where many are. They're holding on to the nature of who they were, assuming that they're caretakers or those visions of this is now my duty to end this type of behavior in this world or whatnot. So it's not about saying We hold on to something, but it's the energy behind it. It's the energy behind the betrayal. If a soul's coming through with the idea of I'm acknowledging your own vision versus I'm hearing the tragedy that I created with you, there's a very different vision that many are utilizing to allow themselves to break free from the victim mindset that many are utilizing to lift themselves or to lift others up. We vibrate in the beauty of connection with those who've suffered, is where a lot of people are. Now, when we do that vision very well, then we can honor that and say we're vibrating out of it with each other. We're strengthening our bonds of friendship. There are so many connections being made that we don't want people to feel like they have to disconnect from everybody who is somehow perpetrating some vision with somebody else that they don't happen to agree with. This is what many are asking. Many are asking people to disconnect and find those souls that they actually truly vibe with. Who do I really truly want to be with in my life? Fun is where Brenda is, but not in the way that many would assume. You see, this is what so many people are assuming, that their visions of what any kind of state of being is somehow going to be the same for somebody else. But we all know that's not necessarily the case. My idea of fun versus somebody else's could be completely different. The same goes for certain types of aspects in relationships. You know, what's a good time for two people versus another couple? Anytime we allow for group dynamics to come in, people start to understand. Some people are energetically charged to fight forward and to do that good fight. Others are about, I need to see what's happening, and then I can lift myself up into the nature of I love who I am, and I can honor those souls who are still fighting and say, I love you for it. Keep going. Okay, some people are very much in the I'm the fighter of our soul. I lift people up, but I know how to unwind. This is my specialty. The problems that they see in me are usually things they are dealing with on a soul level in their own way. This is why many are a little bit confused by that nature. You would have to have more of an individual soul session in order to be able to see the nature of what dynamics are at play with various relationships. And we assume that it is often the other that is dealing with something, but it's a creative endeavor. And this is why so many people are spreading themselves so thin with the internet, because then what happens is you're creating with so many different people from various backgrounds. It's a beautiful thing, but can you actually see yourself vibing with very many people? Even if they're your followers, let's say you have 1,000 followers, are they actually your tribe? Because in essence, what are you uniting with? Think carefully. If I'm uniting in the vision of I'm a victim, and others are as well, this is where many will start to burn out. You can vibrate very high in the vision of, yes, we're here to take it on, versus the nature of, I'm reinforcing that victim mindset in my mind. It's why I don't go to the nature of charitable organizations that re-enhance the vision of who I am. Right? No, I actually vibrate with the vision of making sure that those souls who have gone through that still get the love and support from who I am. I just don't go there in my mind as her. She knows who lifts others up versus who is vibrating in the vision of reinforcement of the victimhood of who we were as children or even as adults. And when we do that vision and we do it well, we can love and laugh like anyone else. But that's the nature of where so many are lacking, is that idea of what we're seeing on the screen is such a focus on the victimhood that we're disregarding the beauty of those souls that are so fun behind the scenes, but they're not letting that nature of who they are shine free. You want to be able to take care of yourselves and honor the vision of, I know that there are difficulties in our lives, but I don't focus on them. I'm that person. I know how to align with the beauty of who I am from so many planes of love that I don't vibrate in the beauty of victim as much as what I used to. Let's put it that way. I have my moments of it. And I'm going to grant all of you that as well. Don't ever feel like I'm some superior being that needs to be honored and adored as better than them. That's not who I am. I'm there to cheer you on in your own journeys, no matter what. If you can't tell by the visions of videos and the people who've come across my screen, you would understand that. I do fight for societal visions because I am that caretaker of the hearts and minds of societal visions that know how to move us forward in a place and way that is honoring of the all. What I don't do is try to tell people how to be. I will look at you and I will say, I see you for the beauty that you are. If you are indeed in that vision of beauty, and when I say that, it is the most difficult thing in the world to do. I don't allow for people to come at me physically and hurt me. Mental awareness is where I'm at, and I've had those visions of the mental torture in my past to let me know where I was with myself and my soul. And I broke free from that vision. I know now not to focus on who I was with those who were in that mindset of wanting to cause people mental torture or pain. Okay? That's where some people go. And we have to say, I don't need that vision. And we move forward. This is the nature of the empath vision that I took on at some point. It's a fun place to go if you're around the right people. Okay? Because many people assume that they're around people who love and adore them, but you would be surprised also what else comes through if you're a channel and giving guidance about those who are like concerned about you. She honors all visions for the most part, not from one soul though, because that's still one that she's still not working out with so well because he hasn't taken off the guilt and blame for her vision of what he was. So anyways, that's a different kind of dynamic. But the nature of letting bygones be bygones, it's a cliche. And the truth of it is you don't have to dishonor your own vision of where you are in this moment. You just stay strong in it. And you hold on and you say, I'm going to do the best that I can with every day to say to myself, I'm no longer the victim of who they are or who they aren't, depending on the situation, right? I have a soul who I care for, who I love and adore, and I've connected with on a soul level, and we're not quite fitting into the right categories of who we think we are, okay? Someone thinks I'm adoring of their hearts, and I'm saying, you're not cutting the mustard. Okay? That's the nature of what a lot of people say also about the nature of who I am. They want to be cheered on. And when you do your soul session, you get the beauty of it, but you also get the truth of it. And that's the nature of it. Sometimes the truth can set us free, right? And we can go, okay, I have to come to an acceptance of some vision, especially when it comes to working with others. When it comes to who we are, that can be even harder. Where am I in my mind most often? Am I having fun? Am I enjoying myself? Am I enjoying my family? Where am I? Right? Where am I in my career? Right? Are my friends the great friends that I always thought they were? I have beautiful friends. We have our issues sometimes, but I know how to bypass the vision of, religious conditioning enough that I don't have to be in that vision. I've got to redeem myself all the time. Okay, I'm not here to do that vision that there's something wrong with me or that there ever was. What I do is I allow for people to vibrate that as well. But what I don't do is that I don't say that means that we get to continue to create with each other. Because some souls still have attachments to their hearts rather than their souls. You see, some of us are those big-hearted souls, and we get our hearts handed to us, and then we're sad, and we feel bad. And then we have to honor that and say, I respect you for not wanting to be in my vibration anymore. This is what I do. I allow for people to come and go freely as friends, as loved ones. And if they are aware of that, they will know why. Because I understand the need for us to move into other fields of creation. So with that, I want to thank you for watching. And remember always, stay curious, wise, and soulful.